The memorandum on the next conclave is circulating amongst the cardinals. Here it is. Let's get started. All right, I'm just going to read, for those of you just joining, this is the memo of an anonymous, perhaps cardinal, who goes by the fake name Demos, and he describes what it's like in the Vatican today, what it's like in Rome. And I think everyone who watches this podcast will be very interested. First off, the opening paragraph here, I believe it's probably written by Sandro, is since the beginning of Lent, the cardinals who will elect the future pope have been passing this memorandum around. Its author, who goes by the name of Demos, meaning people in Greek, is unknown, but shows himself a thorough master of the subject. It cannot be ruled out that he himself is a cardinal. And now we begin. Here's the memo. Quote, commentators of every school, if for different reasons, with the possible exception of Father Spadaro, S.J., agree that this pontificate is a disaster, in many or most respects, a catastrophe, end quote. So that's the beginning. So right off the bat, this anonymous author, presumably in the Vatican, calls this pontificate of Francis a disaster and a catastrophe. Now he does bullet points here. So here's bullet point number 1. He says, the successor of St. Peter is the rock on which the church is built, a major source and cause of worldwide unity. Historically, St. Irenaeus, the Pope, and the Church of Rome have a unique role in preserving the apostolic tradition, the rule of faith, and ensuring that the churches continue to teach what Christ and the apostles taught. Previously, it was Roma locuta, causa finita est. Today, and by the way, that's Latin, Rome has spoken, the case is finished. That's it. He says, today it is Roma loquitur, confusio agetur, right? Rome is spoken and there's confusion is expanding. Confusion everywhere. He then says, the German Synod speaks of homosexuality, women priests, communion for the divorced. The papacy is silent. Now, let me just pause here. This is something that I keep coming back to. The papacy is there to teach and to correct. And when you have the wealthiest Episcopal Conference, the German Conference of Bishops, openly rejecting Catholicism, rejecting sacred scripture, and rejecting sacred tradition on homosexuality, women's ordination, communion for the divorce, it must be corrected. It must be. Often on this podcast, I'll talk about things that Francis has said or written that are erroneous, even heretical, like his February 2nd statement, that you cannot do anything, not with apostasy, schism, or heresy, to remove yourself from the church or to remove yourself from the communion of saints. That is false, and it is heretical. I'll give my classic disclaimer. I'm just a dad on this webcam. I don't have any authority in the church, but I can see heresy. I know what heresy is. I can read Francis and I can read Pius XII side by side in columns, and it's a direct refutation of what Pius XII taught on removing yourself from the church through schism, heresy, and apostasy.